You know how Steppin with Marcus J live from the den of Legacy Internet Radio. We appreciate everybody listening to us tonight. We appreciate it as we progress through the rest of the evening. Of course, we lost Jay Wash of the pregame, but we appreciate his contribution to the show today. Of course, the pregame, you can hear more of that brother every single Friday night from 8 p.m. until 10 with his whole crew of the pregame. So getting you ready for the weekend, we appreciate that. But of course, joining us at this time, you hear her every single week right here on the airwaves of Ain't No Half Steppin' with Marcus J. I've got my co-hostess here, and you know her as the grown woman, S.Y. Butler. What's up, baby?
What's up, baby?
How you doing?
I'm good.
Yeah,
How y'all doing?
We doing all right. We see you over there. She doing the chair dance right now.
I'm happy today, y'all. I don't know what it is, and y'all know how I am on Mondays.
Yeah, you be dragging.
But I am so happy today.
You in a good mood?
I don't know what it is, but thank you, Lord, because I like feeling like this here.
All right, well, we definitely glad that you're in a good mood, and that's what it is. Ain't No Half Steppin' with Marcus J. We're going to move through and kind of get through a couple of more topics here on the show. And the next thing, Aaron, I want you up on this one first.
Okay.
We've been hearing a lot of discussions lately about some of these illnesses, these classic illnesses that we've had with children, and there's been outbreaks of measles and things of that sort. So it has come into the consciousness, the discussion about vaccinations. Should we be vaccinating children, and what's the deal with that? I've got a fact sheet that, not really a fact sheet, but just some information that I did look up and research. But before I actually get into that, I kind of want to just, before we get into, I guess, the book stuff, the clinical stuff, I want to kind of get the emotional stuff, just generally what we all feel about the topic of vaccinations. I mean, we're seeing kids in 2015 dying from measles, something that you can get vaccinated for. So what's your thoughts? You hear about vaccinations, the lack thereof, what immediately comes to mind?
I'm going to have to go to that conspiracy theory deal because my thing is, in 2015, I really can't see us really dying over measles with so much knowledge and history and, what we have now. And I'm one that's, into a lot of the natural stuff, the legal natural stuff, not the legal natural stuff, Talking
about weed.
No, I'm not a smoker. I'm definitely not a smoker.
Cannabis oil.
Yeah. But,
oh, my.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
master plan.
Yeah.
Dab it behind your ears.
Yeah, but my mom, she I grew up on the herbal stuff and then home remedies and all of that. So I'm not big on the medicines. And my opinion with the medicines is it's a money thing. It's straight money. And now you're telling me I need to get vaccinated because of measles. Measles was when I was growing up. I mean that we cured all that.
Because you got vaccinated when you was little. That's why you didn't catch the measles.
But actually, I didn't. I didn't get vaccinated.
You did. You needed
got
to go
vaccinated.
to school.
I didn't get vaccinated.
That's how you got That's how you went to school. You got vaccinated.
Well,
No, I just rode the bus.
You didn't have to get it. A lot of people can get a waiver, and I don't know your history, but there are ways that you can get around.
Yeah.
To go to school, you didn't have to get the measles
Now
shot?
in school, you have to get
I mean, now,
vaccinated.
yeah.
I had to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's ways that you can. I mean, there's religious reasons. There's ways that you can get around it.
Let me find out. I got a needle and didn't have to, as scared as I am of needles.
I mean, I don't have the specifics. I'm sure that if we spent some time researching it, we can find out the loopholes and ways that you can get around it. But there are ways that you can get around having to do it. It's complicated. But, I mean, if you are someone that's listening right now and you know this stuff better than I do, call up or send us a note. Hakeem is listening. He said, what's up?
Hey, Hakeem.
He's basically, he's saying SY, you know how y'all do. He's saying, what up, crew, and what up, 502, baby.
What up?
Hey.
So, Tony, what's your thoughts? Vaccinations. We got Aaron's. It's your turn. What you got? What do you think?
Absolutely, yes. Because if you look at the numbers I mean, kids get vaccinations, and rarely do they get sick. You look at like polio. I have a friend who her mother's in her 50s now, and she still limps because she had polio when she was a child.
Right.
I look at around at the kids who, the teenager is 16, he's in high school. And again, public schools, it's required that they have their immunizations to be able to go to school. I'm sure you can get some sort of waiver, but it's probably a very long and arduous process, because the general consensus in the medical community is that vaccinations help more than they hurt. Yes, there may be a child or two that may be allergic or something like that. I think they're trying to link vaccinations to things like autism and stuff like that. But I mean, you have to look at all the chemicals that are in our food. Like, it could be so many things. Everything causes cancer. It's just so much that so many things that we're exposed to, whether we, intentionally or unbeknownst to us, that can harm us. And I just think that when you're in a situation, if you're going to send your child to a public school, then I think the general consensus should rule, and they should have to be vaccinated. So yeah, make them do it, or you homeschool them.
What you think, Nikki?
I agree. And it was this is what I thought, that to go to a public school, you had to, be vaccinated, have all your immunizations, up to date. But, when we were growing up, you didn't hear about kids catching polio, or kids catching the mumps, or kids catching measles and all this stuff, because we were vaccinated. Now I grew up like Aaron did, in a home where, I catch a fever, my grandma put an onion in my sock. Next day the fever gone, or, tonsils swollen, she swabbed my tonsils down with a little turpentine and milk. All kind of crazy stuff. Yeah, I was about to pass out. I was about to pass out. The only thing that saved me was my grandmother realized that they didn't make turpentine, in her words, turpentine like they used to. Yeah. So just to give you a few examples of some of her little home remedies. But you lived, is my point. And I didn't have to go to the doctor to get a big old needle, because I'm afraid of needles too. I fought a few nurses in my day. Yes. I fought a few nurses in my day, to the point that the doctor had to give me needles, because the nurses they refused to deal with me. So that's how bad my situation was. But I agree, these kids need to be vaccinated, and then the parents need to just start taking better care of the kids. That's all I got.
What you think, S.Y.?
Yeah, I agree. You have to go to school. If I had school-age children that needed their vaccines, they will definitely be getting it. Some of these diseases, they're contagious. So if somebody comes to school and they have it, and my child is not vaccinated properly, now I got to deal with it. I believe the vaccinations stopped my children and myself from getting them. I don't have proof of that, but I didn't get them. I know they were out there, so I'm going to say the vaccine's done it. Now, I do believe in herbal remedies. Like when I have a migraine, I go right on in my little cabinet and get out my peppermint and my lavender, and I start going to town. And they work. They actually work. But, for
is that anything
like
BC powders?
Oh, heck no. This don't irritate your stomach, and it don't taste.
I thought
you don't
it was like BC powders.
Swallow it or anything. No. He's so special.
Michelle K said, "What's up?"
Did your mom ever give you whiskey and honey? When you start getting congested in the chest
to coat my throat.
No, just straight whiskey and honey.
The hot toddy.
Yeah, and a little bit in a cup, and you gotta swallow it down.
No, 2 big tablespoons set you right.
No, but she tried to get me the other week with that castor oil, swallowing castor oil.
The castor oil.
Castor oil.
They still got that.
Oh
Hell
my
to the
God,
no, mommy.
Hey, that reminds me of Little Rascals. Every
I
time
had the castor oil.
Yes,
Little Rascals.
They had to get it. Yes, that was their medicine.
Michelle,
it goes in the hair.
Michelle K is agreeing with you, Tony. She's saying it's a requirement for children to be vaccinated before entering school. If a child will be going to the 6th grade, all children must get the Tdap shot. So that's what she's saying. They don't have Steppin, Marcus J. Now, as far as some of the experts. I mean, I did, kind of look and see, and, and there's disputes on, whether, these things actually work, and the side effects and things of that sort. They're citing a 2002 Sunday Times article. The government has mounted campaigns to persuade parents that the MMR jab is safe, and some research linked it to autism and bowel disorders in children, which invites casual readers to question whether they trust the government more than researchers. We know that they used to test all kinds of bioweapons on people and things of that sort, and what better way to control people than to control the children. So, I understand the whole thing about, we don't get sick how we used to get sick, and a lot of it has to do with the medicine, i.e. vaccinations that you got as a child. And I'm conflicted on it. I was someone that was vaccinated, and I've been relatively healthy throughout my life, aside from the occasional cold and stomach virus every once in a while, knock on wood, knock, knock, knock.
Oh, dear.
What you say?
Now you're going to have a headache for life.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But, inside joke, y'all. But, I'm conflicted on it, and it's one of those things you got to trust people who have shown to be untrustworthy.
Right.
And you get, not only you got to trust them with your kids. And that's kind of the most difficult thing. But then, we all were, well, not we all, I can't speak for everybody, Aaron wasn't, but many of us were vaccinated, and we are all right. So that's kind of how I feel about it. I mean, that's just, it's a scary thing. And when you're talking about a disease that for the most part was eradicated, well before any of us came along, like the measles, and now it's making a comeback. It's like, what the hell is up with that? Like, there's got to be, Nikki, when you talked about conspiracy theory earlier, there's something going on. But then there's also the people who are not into conspiracy theories. They always want to get on those of us who are and say that we're making something out of nothing. When you look back into history and you see things like SARS and bird flu, and what was the one we just had last year? The Ebola and all of that kind of stuff.
Ebola,
the truth of the matter is, ain't nobody talking about Ebola today. We talking about measles. It's always something.
Right. It's always
going to be something, and it's a moving target. And I think they move that target to move and distract you so that you're not paying attention to other stuff. You do realize that we are making steps to potentially go to war here in the United States. So why not distract you by letting you see that your kids can get sick while they're moving tanks into freaking Saudi Arabia, wherever the heck they at. And I know that we're not doing that. They're an ally. But the point I'm making is the trickery of politics.
Right.
Many bloodsuckers that are out there that are trying to, get you to do things that you may not want to. And what a better way to instill fear in you than to attack children. And they're doing it with bioweapons, potentially, if you were to follow the conspiracy theory. Ain't no how Steppin with Marcus. All right, this one I know is going to get folks riled up, because when I saw this, I couldn't wait to get in here and talk about this one. And I've been teasing it all night, and now it's time to actually get to it. Now, every once in a while, our president says something that, it reminds me of the episode of Good Times when JJ said, he's talking to the plants, and he said, to you African Violet, right on, bruh. Right. Y'all older folks, y'all remember that?
Yeah, no, good time.
Every once in a while, the president says something that makes me want to say, right on, bruh. And it's usually been lately, since he's lame duck and he ain't got no more elections to worry about. He can step outside of really caring about what you think. Right. Because he won on all. Right. I remember that shot at the State of the Union. He had an annual event last week. It's an annual event that brings leaders, international and domestic, from different parties and religions for an hour devoted to faith. And he talked a lot about religion. And there were some that had some issues with regards to his take on religion. His challenge came at the National Prayer Breakfast, and of course we know the climate of the world right now when people got anxiety over Islamic terrorism. He noted, our president, Barack Hussein Obama, noted pointedly that his fellow Christians, who make up the vast majority of Americans, should perhaps not be the ones to cast the first stone, saying, quote, humanity has been grappling with these questions throughout human history. He told the group, speaking of the tension between the compassionate and murderous acts religion can inspire. He continues, unless we get on our high horse and think this is unique to some other place, remember that during the Crusades and the Inquisition, people committed terrible deeds in the name of Christ. In our home country, slavery and Jim Crow all too often were justified in the name of Christ. You had some Republicans who didn't like that very much. Some of them were outraged. Quote, the president's comments this morning at the prayer breakfast are the most offensive I've ever heard a president make in my lifetime. Our own former governor, Jim Gilmore, said. He offended every believing Christian in the United States. This goes further to the point that Mr. Obama does not believe in America or the values that we share. Obama's remarks spoke to his unsparing and sometimes controversial view of the United States, where triumphalism is overshadowed by a harsh assessment of where Americans must try harder to live up to their own self-image. Only by admitting these shortcomings, he has argued, we can fix problems and move beyond them. Quote, there is tendency in all of us, a sinful tendency that can pervert and distort our faith, he said at the breakfast. And he continues, there's more here. I think we've got it appropriately set up. Aaron, I definitely need you on this one first. Jump in, man. What you think?
He's speaking the truth. And, you know, the thing about it, you know, this country, you know, it's a great country, but it is also built on a lot of racism, sexism, and you name it. You know, it's built on a lot of negative factors. And when when he's mentioned about the religion and Christianity, yeah, you know, this is what he's, you know, I think he's speaking of. He's speaking of when you have, you know, Klansmen burning crosses in the name of Christianity. You know, slavery. you know, a lot of, you know, our forefathers, you know, the slavers, you know, were, you know, they put Christianity as a fear factor to kind of control them as well. You know, when they told him that, you know, you're not gonna get anything on earth, you know, you got to wait till the heavens above. So, you know, you put them fears in you know, the people who was enslaved, you know, so it kind of minimized the attempt to run away or whatever, because, you know, you put in your mind, if these people are the masters or the slave owners, you know, they you know, putting in the people's mind that, okay, you know, you're not going to get the good life here. You have to wait. So, you know, I'm you know, so there's no need to run off or try to find a better life, because this is the better life. Right. You know, so those are the things I think he's talking about. Right. You know, I don't think he's, you know, saying anything degrading about the country per se, but he's just speaking truth.
Well, Hakeem has a perfect way to make that point. He basically says, first of all, he said, right on, bruh. So he did get a kick out of the setup there.
Thank you, Hakeem.
But he says that he doesn't think that they were actually outraged. They just felt the need to take a shot and try to cast aspersions upon him. He continues and has a quote here, left to themselves, a good person will do good things and a wicked person will do wicked things. If you want a good person to do something wicked, then that takes religion. God is not great. Is his comment. SY, jump in. We got it properly set up here. What's your thoughts on this whole thing?
You know, I agree with Aaron. He didn't say one thing that was not true. And I think the people at the table don't like hearing the truth. And Hakeem is right. They did. They took a stab at him because they're going to take every opportunity that they can. We do take for granted a lot of things, and some people use religion, like you were saying. It's almost like brainwashing them to believe what you want them to believe and what you want them to think they're going to get at a certain point in life. And it's really just too bad. Unfortunately, it works. You know, that's the bad part. It works, and we lose a lot of people that way. Some people believe taking their lives is some sort of a, I don't know. There's nothing in the book that says it's okay. There's nothing anywhere that says, you know, all the things that we do that are crimes, that they're okay, that they're because of Christianity. You know, something else is wrong. I just think they didn't appreciate hearing the truth. We are a great country. We have liberties that no other place has. We take them for granted. There are things that come along with those liberties that we use the wrong way.
Right.
And so
Truly
this
agree.
is what happens.
Tony, what do you think?
I agree. I mean, yeah, it's the truth, and sometimes the truth does hurt. But, you know, I saw something, it's been a few months ago, that said something to the effect of, you know, don't look down on other people because they sin differently from you.
Oh, yeah.
You know, we are all flawed, but you have to acknowledge that and do what you can to try to overcome those flaws, or at least, you know, maintain and live, you know, in a high moral value, with high moral values, and just be a good person. So he wasn't bashing, he was telling the truth. Like, acknowledge, yeah, we messed up, but we're still good people, and, you know, we still have to answer at some point for the things that we do wrong. We're not better than any other country just because we're Christians. You know, it's a reality check, and a lot of times people hear the truth and it makes them take a hard look at themselves, and that's not easy for a lot of people to swallow.
Nikki, what do you think?
I agree with everybody, but I mean, to be honest, I think it just all comes down to they don't want to hear the truth from a black man. You know, white people don't want to hear the truth from a black man, and it's even sadder that black people don't want to hear the truth from a black man.
Definitely,
you see what I'm saying?
Definitely.
Those same words that he said, if it came out of a white man's mouth, the reaction would have been totally different. I'm telling you. And that's the problem in a nutshell. We just don't want to hear the truth from this black man.
No, I got you on that. And you know what's crazy about that? You know, when many of us speak that way, and I've gotten to the point where I don't really care what people think about what I say. You have to, if you're going to do this,
Definitely.
you have to get to the point
You
where
know
you do,
we don't care.
Yeah, you got to get to the point where you don't care. But, you know, every time I've made a point like that, you know, I you know, that's when I get inboxes and stuff like that. You know, people that you know they don't want to call up the show or anything like that. And that's fine.
Right.
You know, I can dig that. But one thing that we don't do here on Ain't No Half Steppin' with Marcus J. Or Legacy Internet Radio is, you know, participate in punkish behavior.
Right.
And being a punk means not speaking on difficult situations. Difficult situations like religion, difficult situations like sexual orientation, difficult situations like politics, difficult situations like religion, like all that stuff you ain't supposed to talk about at work. We gonna come here and we're gonna talk about it. We're gonna talk about it. And the truth of the matter is, I find it, you know, outrageously hypocritical for any Christian person to cast aspersions, as to use Hakeem's phrase, upon Muslims.
Right.
Like, that's so crazy to me.
Right.
I look at them sometimes. I'm like, word, for real? Like, you?
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
You know what I mean? You know, these are the same people who went and brought people from another country to work for them in the name of God, you know, and then you get a lot of people that say, well, slavery's in the Bible. You know what? I don't care about any of that. I don't care about any of that. You're a crazy person if you strap a bomb to your body and you go blow up something.
Yeah.
You're a crazy person if you get inside an airplane and you crash it into a building because you don't like these people. You're a crazy person if you're going to castrate a man because his skin is darker than yours. You're a crazy person and a punk if you're going to wear your bed sheets and cover your face and go and raid houses and steal people and that type of stuff.
Right.
And so my point is, every single religion, every single denomination, every single political party, every single race of people got some assholes in it. And if we're going to sit here and act like we don't know it, and we get mad at the messenger because we don't like the messenger, but we understand that the message is some real talk, then you don't need to be a part of the discussion, because you're the problem.
Right.
And I'm talking to you, Gilmore, and anybody else who has a problem, like Nikki said, hearing the truth from this black man. Because at the end of the day, he won.
Yeah.
Right.
Twice.
Yeah, twice.
He won
exactly.
twice. You know,
won all the campaign.
Yeah, they don't
want
want
to
to
hear that.
Right.
And,
All
you
the
know,
campaign.
I'm not going to come on here and be, you know, a Pied Piper for Barack Obama, because I got issues with black people who will never say a negative thing about the man. And I'm not talking about talking about him personally, because anytime you talk about somebody personally and you really, really, really dump it on them, you kind of a punk to me.
Right.
You know what I mean? You know, so that's why I don't like Wendy Williams and people like that. You know, I don't like that. You know, I don't really get into that.
Right.
So all of these people doing all this nasty stuff, and with the hanging dolls, and the ugly pictures and all that kind of stuff. I had a problem with it when it was George Bush.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because you ain't gotta like his politics, but you gotta attack the man.
Yeah, and see, my thing is, my personal thing with President Obama is that if you're gonna hate him. But when it gets ugly, you hate him because he's a black man. That's when I have an issue. And you mentioned Bush. All presidents are hated for the most part. Even down to some of the so-called nice ones, like with Clinton, he was smooth. So Bill Clinton was smooth, and but the president is hated. But my issue is when. And you say as far as like black people say you can't say nothing wrong about President Obama. There's a lot of stuff I haven't agreed with what he's done. I think he's a good president overall, but there's a lot of things I'm not going to be 1,000% on his team because he's black.
Yep.
That's but it's a lot of things he's done. I didn't really disagree.
I think a lot of people want to be. Like, to me, there's a couple of different kinds of black people with regards to President Obama. You got the black guy who, he ain't never did nothing for black people. I'm not feeling that.
Right.
Because that shows me that you're not paying attention.
Right.
And as smart as you are, just because you talk loud don't mean you talk good.
Right.
And I said talk good improperly on purpose. You know what I'm saying? Just because you loud don't mean you smart.
Right.
So those people, he ain't never did nothing for black people. I got a problem with you because you're not paying attention. But those people who, want to 1 year into his presidency call him the best president we ever had, I got a little problem with you too, because you're looking at him through rose-colored glasses. Right. And there's some things that he's done, and I've been on this since there was discussion of the signing of the National Defense Authorization Act, which I'm not going to use it. Yeah, okay, but what about the president behind you?
Right.
So there's some issues with that, and so there's other stuff that goes on with him. So you can have constructive criticism for someone that you love, or someone that you like, or someone that you respect, while at the same time supporting them. Because the truth of the matter is, that's where you grow. That's where you get it. Like, if you think of practice in anything, you get the most out of the practice from the people who are supporting you.
True.
Because that's how you learn.
That's how you learn.
And that's how this whole thing with the religion, and that's what we kind of started off with. This whole thing with the religion, it's just the hypocrisy is crazy because, if you look at the world, the number of Muslims in the world outnumber everybody else.
Yeah, they do.
And so the assumption that the jihadists and the crazy people are the face of the religion, I laugh oftentimes at black people who take that position because I'm like, you of all people should know what it's like to not have to be your brother's keeper.
Man, we black Christians, a lot of I'm gonna stumble on some toes, but hey, I don't care. Black Christians are probably the most hypocritical people on this earth.
I agree with that. 100%.
In this world,
100%.
Yeah, I know a lot of them will say, "Oh man, he said that." Yeah, I said it. Aaron Turner, which will be Aaron. They be on February 28th, 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. Eastern.
He said it was.
Yeah, so
man.
So, doubt. But yeah, they're the most hypocritical people in this world. So
nah, I got you. Because I don't want to get too deep, and you stepped on it. I'm about to stomp on it because during slavery, it was a big deal to have a Bible around. You got to read it, and you praying the same way that the oppressor was praying. So as you swing from a tree, and they cheer and say, "God," this is in the name of God. You saying, "Oh God." And a lot of them, when they was about to whip them, they read scriptures. Yeah. Trying to justify I'm about to whip, this person. They read scriptures before that. I'm not trying to tell you what to believe or how to believe. You are going to, and I say you, the listeners and anybody that's participating tonight, you have to, you have to face your own creator. And whatever way you choose to do it, you, as long as you have peace within yourself and with your maker, to me, it doesn't matter what you call them. It doesn't matter what denomination you use to get to it. You know, because me personally, I read the Quran about as much as I read the Bible. You know, because I feel like you can get equal lessons from both. You know, and because I personally choose not to have a religion, but to rely on spirituality. I guess it's the difference between, you know, going to Walmart and Sam's Club. You know, Walmart would be the religion. Sam's Club, you get it straight.
Right. You're right.
You know what I mean? You know, in bulk, You know, and I say it clowning to make the point that, you know, I think that as long as we as individuals learn to love and respect each other, because every single religion teaches that at its core. The difference is the zealots are the ones that pervert that message, and those are the ones that have you swinging from trees and blowing up stuff. Ain't no half stepping,
exactly right.
You know, with Marcus J.